Welcome back to the Working Actors Journey Rehearsal Room, where we have the time to deeply explore just one scene over a month. Again, I'm Juls Hoover, and I've stepped in this month as guest host. As a reminder, we have been deep diving, spelunking, and mining two scenes from Shakespeare's Merry Wives of Windsor. We will continue posting the weekly sessions on YouTube for free for all to enjoy. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and click for notifications. You can still support the project via Patreon and get early access to all the sessions, plus a podcast version starting at just $5 a month. Thank you again to our patrons at the co-star level for supporting the project. Joan, Michele, Christian, Jim, Magdalen, Ivar, Claudia, Clif, and Jeff. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback, please leave a comment below and be sure to hit that like button so the algorithm can do its thing. If you all need anything, please reach out. You can text me too if you have my number. But I will hand the rehearsal room over to Paul.
Thank you so much, Jules. We really appreciate you doing this, by the way.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I know we always kid around about taking over for Nathan, but we really appreciate you filling in.
Yeah, I love doing this. I love being a part of it in any way I can, truly. Have fun, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. Any thoughts from last week before we jump in? Or any thoughts about this week? Or any thoughts in general?
Michele, can't hear you.
Oh, I was trying to talk to my husband.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry
to interrupt.
Gideon, do you have any thoughts? I know that you suggest that we pick up from where we stopped last week. But did you have any thoughts, residual thoughts from last week?
No, my only thought is the more we do it, the better it gets. And I'm highly impressed by the quality. So keep it up.
Well, actually,
I think we had some technological difficulties last week, which goes with the Zoom territory, I'm afraid. But apart from that, I'm enjoying hearing the voices do these characters, and it's a lot of fun.
Actually, I did have a thought, which is the language was it was for me a little more difficult than in some of the other Shakespeare plays. It's sort of like, I guess, the Elizabethan equivalent of slang a lot of the times.
That's true, and it's also in prose mostly.
Yes.
And
yes.
So the rules about prose versus verse in Shakespeare are not really rules, but whenever he shifts from verse to prose, he's coming down the scale of creation in a way, from the more serious and more higher rank and more public and more seriously dramatic or tragic to in the direction of more personal, more intimate, more comical, lower rank, and so on. That's not a hard and fast rule. But when the poetry shifts from prose to verse or verse to prose, that's sort of the direction you're going in. And in this kind of comedy, it's mostly in prose because it's a comedy. It's about middle-class people in a local environment, and so Shakespeare's reaching, in a sense, that particular section of the audience with their own kind of talk in a way. So that's why you're seeing these saws or sayings or cliches that appear from time to time that many of them in Shakespeare we're still familiar with, and some he invents and we use them all the time. And others we've never heard, we don't understand, and we have to look them up. And so it is kind of challenging in that sense.
What's another comedy that's mostly in prose? Is the Comedy of Errors mostly in prose?
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of prose in As You Like It.
Yes, you like.
Yeah,
And does he employ as many of the colloquialisms, real or invented, as in this one?
yeah, I would say so from time to time, sure. It's hard to count them because some of them have become so familiar that we don't think of them in that way anymore. We just think of them as normal speech. And others, the ones we have to look up, make us pay attention. But they're, and of course, sometimes he's just purely inventing. But it's really hard to generalize because each play is so uniquely itself, you know, aimed at the themes and the ideas and the emotional qualities that it's producing. And it's really hard to generalize. Even when we say the four last plays, like the romances, Pericles, Cymbeline, Tempest, and Winter's Tale, they have a lot in common, but each one is also unique. And Merry Wives, in my opinion, is unique. There's not another. There are passages in Henry IV, Part 1, that are sort of like some of the things in Merry Wives, and because of the same characters. But there's really no other whole play that's like Merry Wives. So I think you have to enjoy its uniqueness.
I have a chart here, Paul, from our tried and trusty Pelican.
Yes.
That's a wonderful addition, by the way.
Yeah. Merry Wives has the most prose by a good bit of any play. And the next several top ones are also comedies. And the next top one is Much Ado. 71.7% prose.
Right.
And then Twelfth Night, 61.3% prose. And then As You Like It, 54.4. And interestingly, the other two plays with Falstaff, the histories, Henry IV, 1 and 2,
Yes.
they have the most prose of any of the histories.
I would
Yeah,
over 40%.
That's why, because we've got these whole scenes
Yep.
of the comic underclass talking to each other.
Yeah.
never would have thought that Twelfth Night would have been that far up there, because even in Twelfth Night, that's Festi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Festi uses a lot of verse, doesn't he?
Yeah, but all of the Sir-Toby, or most of the Sir-Toby, Maria, Ague-Cheek stuff, and a lot of the Malvolio stuff is in prose.
I thought Ague-Cheek and Sir-Toby spoke in verse because they were higher class than Maria, for example.
Well, sometimes they do, but often they're not. They're slumming.
Not always. Yeah, it's not always that.
Oh.
Anyway, don't take what I said as a hard and fast rule, or I'll hear it from Dakin Matthews. It's just a general quality. And the most important thing to know is when it shifts from one to the other, you're getting a shift in focus and tone and so on.
Fascinating stuff.
As when,
In our scene,
yeah, go ahead, Corinna.
in our scenes, is it just these 4 lines that Mistress Page addresses that are in verse? Is there?
Those are the only ones I think those are the only ones I remember. There may be 1 or 2 lines that aren't, but as I'm glancing through, no, it's almost all prose. Let me look at the second scene a second. Yeah, if you have your Pelican or another edition like that, all you have to do is scan down the column and you can see where the lines are verse and where they're prose. It's almost all prose. Our scenes.
Yeah.
And
86.6. Merry Wives, yeah.
And
That's a
those lines
lot.
are also rhymed, which is sort of like a more intense version of the verse.
Correct. More intense, more formulaic, more orderly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Shakespeare uses rhymes very often to end a scene. Even a scene in prose will sometimes end with a couplet in verse, because the rhyme kind of punctuates the end of the scene.
Mm.
Just another nerd out Shakespeare thing, because I totally agree that I figured if Comedy of Errors would be high up in prose among the comedies.
I
It's
thought
the
so too.
least. It's the least amount of prose percentage wise
Yeah.
in any of the comedies.
And it's got a lot of rhymed couplets.
21.5% rhyme.
Yeah.
In comedy, yeah, but only 12.7% prose.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Fascinating stuff.
Now, that all being said, I want you to banish from your minds numbers and percentages, because that just obscures what's happening right now in the moment.
Yes, sir.
So Shakespeare is adjusting constantly to the particulars of the moment. And so you have to give him his head that way. You have to let him lead you instead of trying to fit him into these numbers and categories. That goes for the kind of play too. We distinguish between tragedies, comedies, histories. Sometimes Polonius is right. There are tragical comedies and comical historical pastorals and so on. Because Shakespeare is breaking out of molds constantly. Not to destroy them, because he depends on our knowing them, but to enhance them and make the particular play dramatic in the way he wants it to be.
Fascinating. I love it. Let's read it. Are we going to go from Mr. Ford just walked in?
Oh,
Which
yeah,
scene, which line?
4-2-115, set down the basket villain. Now, this, I'm suggesting that because that was a recommendation from Gideon, but if you all want to start from the top and just drive through there, that's up to you.
I don't remember that I was instructing us about this week. I thought I was instructing us about last week, but you might be right. There's a tape, so I can't deny. I have no deniability.
So let me ask the room. Let me ask the three of you. Would you like to start from where we left off, or would you like to go to the top of 4-2, not to the top of all the scenes, the top of 4-2, and
I would say top of 4-2.
Yeah, me too.
And run through this?
Yes.
And I won't stop you when we get to set down the basket villain. That's when I'll start thinking about stopping you.
Okay.
Because we have not yet gone specifically into particular phrases in the second half of the scene. So that's why Paul wants to do that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So start from top of 4-2 and just plow on through. Unless you need to stop. If you need to stop, then stop. But I won't stop you.
Okay.
Mistress Ford, your sorrow hath eaten up my sufferance. I see you are obsequious in your love, and I profess requital to a hair's breadth. Not only, Mistress Ford, in the simple office of love, but in all the accoutrement, compliment, and ceremony of it. But are you sure of your husband now?
He's a birding, sweet Sir John.
What ho? Gossip Ford? What ho?
Step into the chamber, Sir John.
How now, sweetheart, who's at home besides yourself?
Why, none but mine own people.
Indeed.
No, certainly. Speak louder.
Truly, I am so glad you have nobody here.
Why?
Why, woman, your husband is in his old loons again. He so takes on yonder with my husband, so rails against all married mankind, so curses all Eve's daughters of whatever complexion soe'er, and so buffets himself on the forehead, crying, peer out, that any madness I ever yet beheld seemed but tameless civility and patience to this distemper he is in now. I am glad the fat knight is not here.
Why? Does he talk of him?
Of none but him, and swears he was carried out the last time he searched for him in a basket, protests to my husband he is now here, and hath drawn him and the rest of their company from their sport to make another experiment of his suspicion. But I am glad the knight is not here. Now he shall see his own foolery.
How near is he, Mistress Page?
Hard by at street end, he will be here anon.
I am undone! The knight is here!
Why then, you are utterly shamed, and he's but a dead man. Oh, what a woman are you! Away with him! Away with him! Better shame than murder.
Which way should he go? How should I bestow him? Shall I put him into the basket again?
No, I'll come no more in the basket. May I not go out ere he come?
Alas, 3 of Master Ford's brothers watch the door with pistols, that none shall issue out. Otherwise you might slip away ere he came. But what make you here?
What shall I do? I'll creep up into the chimney.
They always used to discharge their birding pieces.
Creep into the kinhole.
Where is it?
He will seek there, on my word. Neither press, coffer, chest, trunk, well, vault, but he hath an abstract for the remembrance of such places, and goes to them by his note. There is no hiding you in the house.
I'll go out then.
If you go out in your own semblance, you die, Sir John. Unless you go out disguised.
How might we disguise him?
Alas, the day I know not. There is no woman's gown big enough for him. Otherwise he might put on a hat, a muffler, and a kerchief, and so escape.
Good hearts, devise something, any extremity rather than a mischief.
My maid's aunt, the fat woman of Brentford, has a gown above.
On my word, it will serve him. She's as big as he is. And there's her thrummed hat and her muffler too. Oh, run up, Sir John.
Go, sweet Sir John. Mistress Page and I will look some linen for your head.
Quick. We'll come dress you straight. Put on the gown the while.
I would my husband would meet him in this shape. He cannot abide the old woman of Brentford. He swears she's a witch, forbade her my house, and hath threatened to beat her.
Heaven guide him to thy husband's cudgel, and the devil guide his cudgel afterwards.
But is my husband coming?
Aye, in good sadness is he, and talks of the basket too, howsoever he hath had intelligence.
We'll try for that, for I'll appoint my men to carry the basket again, to meet him at the door with it, as they did last time.
Nay, but he'll be here presently. Let's go dress him like the witch of Brentford.
I'll first direct my men that they shall go do with the basket. Go up. I'll bring linen for him straight.
Hang him, dishonest varlet. We cannot misuse him enough. We'll leave a proof by that which we will do. Wives may be merry, and yet honest too. We do not act that often jest and laugh. 'Tis old but true. Still swine eats all the draught.
Go, sirs, take the basket again. Go, sirs, take the basket again on your shoulders. Your master is hard at door. If he bid you set it down, obey him. Quickly dispatch.
Pray heaven it be not full of night again. They pick up the basket. Enter Ford and his friends.
Set down the basket, villain. Come hither, Mistress Ford. Mistress Ford, the honest woman, the modest wife, the virtuous creature that hath the jealous fool to her husband. I suspect without cause, mistress, do I?
Heaven be my witness you do, if you suspect me any dishonesty.
Well said, brazen face. Hold it out. Come forth. Should I say, since we're not on stage and they're not there to do what I'm saying, should I say hold the basket out, or hold the basket out. Come forth, sirrah.
Well, I'm going to say he pulls clothes out of the basket, so it might be understandable.
Okay.
I think it just means keep it from where it's going. Hold it back from it. You might want to say hold it back. Keep it from fulfilling its function till I check it, basically.
Hold it out. I think, yeah. He's kind of like saying, hold up.
Yeah, that's more.
Hold
like,
up. And come forth, sirrah, is thinking that I'm going to find him in the clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well said, brazen face. Hold it out. Come forth, sirrah.
He pulls clothes out of the basket.
Are you not ashamed? Let the clothes alone.
I shall find you anon. Empty the basket, I say.
Why, man? Why?
As I am a man, there was one conveyed out of my house yesterday in this basket. Why may not he be there again? In my house, I am sure he is. My intelligence is true. My jealousy is reasonable. Pluck me out all the linen.
If you find a man there, he shall die a flea's death.
Well, Paul, what do you think? Do you want to say they empty the basket?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. By the way, since we stopped, I'm not going to say he pulls clothes out of the basket.
You're not.
You say, come forth, Sirrah, and she says, are you not ashamed? Let the clothes alone. So, and plus you're doing this. You're doing this, so I don't need to say it.
Cool.
But I am on stage because I'm playing John, who's about to leave. Maybe I need not be on stage. Maybe I need to turn my camera off so I can say Robert and John carry the basket off.
Well, Robert and John empty the basket. That's the one I was thinking of.
No, he's looking at the next line.
I'm
The
looking
next
at the
time
next
they
one.
speak. Robert
Because
and
if
John
I'm-
refill the basket and carry it.
Right. If I'm not on stage, then I can easily say Robert and John empty the basket.
Okay.
I think you can just do it with your voice. I don't think you have to appear.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do the whole thing with my voice, even the line about pray it not be full of night again.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, try it and see if it works.
Corinna, I'm gonna try this.
Yes.
When he says, pluck me out all the linen on 149, then I'm going to say Robert and John empty the basket before your line.
Okay.
You got that, Todd?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me edit my document here. So
Well, it won't affect you. It'll affect Corinna.
I know, but still, I want to know.
Corinna, while we're stopped.
Yeah.
What does she mean? He shall die a flea's death.
Yeah.
There's no one in the basket. He's basically emptied it. So if there is someone there, it's like a tiny, it's like a sarcastic comment about you might find like a crumb, but there's not, like, clearly there's no human
Right.
in there, yeah.
He's so small, he's going to die the death of something that small.
Right.
Which is doubly funny. One, because he's not there, and he was last time, and two, because he's so big.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
So you're having fun.
Okay.
Shall we? Where do you want to go from, Todd? As I'm a man?
Yeah, as I'm a man.
Wait, let me get myself off stage.
Ah, okay.
As I am a man, there was one conveyed out of my house yesterday in this basket. Why may not he be there again? In my house, I am sure he is. My intelligence is true. My jealousy is reasonable. Pluck me out, all the linen.
Robert and John, empty the basket.
If you find a man there, he shall die a flea's death.
Well, he's not here. I seek for.
Robert and John, refill the basket and carry it off.
What ho, Mistress Page! Come you and the old woman down. My husband will come into the chamber.
Old woman? What old woman's that?
Why, it is my maid's aunt of Brentford.
A witch, a queen, an old cousining queen. Have I not forbid her my house? She comes of errands, does she? We are simple men. We do not know what's brought to pass under the profession of fortune telling. She works by charms, by spells, by the figure, and such daubery as this beyond our element. We know nothing. Come down, you witch, you hag, you come down, I say.
Nay, good sweet husband, good gentleman, let him not strike the old woman.
You want me to say Mrs. Page enters with Falstaff?
Yes, I like that.
I'll say the whole thing, disguised as ordered. Mrs. Page enters with Falstaff disguised as an old woman. There we go.
Grandmother Pratt, give me your hand.
Out, rat her. Out of my door, you witch, you rag, you baggage, you polecat, you runion. Out, out. I'll conjure you out.
Falstaff and Ford exit. Well, I don't need to say that.
Are you not ashamed? I think you've killed the poor woman.
Nay, he will do it. 'Tis a goodly credit for you.
Trust
Well,
me.
I'm sorry. Hang on. Paul, should I still, even though the exit is there, should I still be on? Because Mistress Page is directing that to me.
Well, that's why I'm saying hold.
I think they're saying it as you go out.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would love to do it. Yeah, I would love for her to say it to you as you. Oh, I'm not here. Here I am. Hello. I would love for her to say it to you as you have left. Hey, hey, hey! Be careful! Don't hurt her.
Okay.
And Mrs. Ford goes, "Oh, I think he's going to hurt her." And then they have a private moment when all your friends leave. So I think what I'll say is Falstaff and Ford exit. And after Mrs. Ford says, "'Tis a goodly credit for you," I'll say, all of Ford's friends exit. So now we know that
It's a goodly credit for you is
Yeah.
sarcastic and ironic, directed to him.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to play it, especially in this
True.
environment when we have the same
Directed
actors
to
playing
Ford.
Falstaff and Ford.
I mean, that Falstaff and Ford exit, right? That's right after 185. That's clearly that's put in for this adaptation for just this scene because Ford has some cut lines just a little bit later.
Yes, I did that. I moved that.
Okay. Okay.
I think what it said was Falstaff exits.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because you see down below, it says Ford, Page, Caius, and Sir Hugh exit, everybody.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And he says, Ford says, follow me, gentlemen. He's going to go beat her some more.
Ah,
Why don't you have Falstaff exit there at after 186 or 186, and then Ford exit after 190?
Well, to answer that question, I would like to get an answer, starting with Corinna. What
Yes.
do you mean by "'tis a goodly credit for you"?
I was wondering that, and then Gideon sort of said it's a sarcastic comment towards Ford, I believe. Like,
Right, because you're
like you, wow, look at you, big man type. Yeah, you beat
so
up a
honorable
woman.
beating a woman.
Yeah.
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 Okay, then I will agree that Falstaff should exit there and Ford can exit later.
Cool.
I'm cutting that in my scripts. And I will say Falstaff exits.
And then Ford exits.
And then "'tis a goodly credit for you." Todd, would you like to say, will you follow, gentlemen, or would you like to just exit? Not the whole thing, just will you follow, gentlemen? Or, wait a minute, let me look at the whole
I'd love to say, hang her witch, and then exit. 'Tis a goodly credit for you. Hang her
Yeah.
witch,
Rebuttal.
exit.
and not to worry about what you say to your friends?
Yeah, because, I mean, we really haven't been acknowledging
We have not.
that there's more than just Ford.
Well, Mrs. Ford did say, gentlemen, please don't let him hit her.
Yeah, we're not trying to embody them, though.
No.
I think Todd's right. I think you're going to complicate things if
Yeah.
he can exit after hang her witch. That's what I would suggest. You restore that line and then exit. We're not really looking at his relationships to the other men.
Well, then you're not wrong, but then the question is, what do we do with Ford's line, "We are simple men, we do not know of this profession of fortune telling"? He is talking to his friends. He's trying to tell them what to expect, that here comes a woman who works by charms and spells and numbers and blah, 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 right? He is talking to them, right?
Yeah, but it can as easily be, we people of this town or this neighborhood or this level of society or whatever, you know. You have to remember that all that list of things he's accusing her of are punishable often by death. So he's got to be meaning it, but not too literally, because she would be arrested and tried as a witch. And that was not okay in the period of Elizabeth, and particularly in the period of James. So he can be talking to his gentleman, because earlier Mistress Page said he's coming with this whole crowd, right? My husband and a bunch of other people.
Right.
So that's in our minds. And he can be meaning that when he speaks to them, or he can be meaning it more generally. But I think Todd's right. I don't think we have to try to embody them too much, because the interplay with him and these gentlemen is not going anywhere dramatic. The drama of what we're doing is all in the ladies.
I brought that up because I believe I'm getting all confused now, but I believe I brought that up because we were talking about, should he say, "Follow me, gentlemen," as he exits? Are we aware as a listening audience that they are there? I think we are, because the stage directions, I'm going to say Ford and his entourage enter.
Fine.
And she says, "Gentlemen, don't let him strike her." And he says, "We are simple men." Even though, Todd, you're going to have to work to make that clear that you're talking to them and not her. we are a simple man, blah, 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 numbers, daubery, blah, blah, blah. So then when he's leaving to go beat her some more, should he not say, follow me, gentlemen? And then I'll just say Ford and his entourage exits. That's a real question. I don't know the answer.
I think that'll work fine.
Hanger witch, follow me, gentlemen.
Will you follow, gentlemen? I beseech you, follow.
Will you follow, gentlemen?
Yeah, you don't need to say the rest of it. What do you think, Todd? You don't want, and Gideon and everybody. He doesn't need to say the rest of that line, right? All he needs to say is,
no.
I beseech you, follow.
I could just go, keeping all the words in the same order, I could just go, gentlemen, I beseech you, follow.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
That's good.
I think it depends whether you want it to be civil or are you still angry at Hanger Witch. So Hanger Witch, will you follow, gentlemen? Come with me and let's go get her.
Yeah.
Or will you follow, gentlemen? They don't immediately do it. Now you have to beg them. And I think that complicates things in a way that will distract us. That's my view, but you can.
Are you saying you like Todd's idea of taking out the 3 words, will you follow?
No, I'm saying keep those in and get rid of beseech.
Yeah, just Hanger witch. Will you follow, gentlemen?
That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Ford exits.
I think that's cleaner.
I like it. I'm with it. I dig it. Hang her, witch. Will you follow, gentlemen? And I'll say Ford and his entourage exit. Exit. Okay. Merry wives, instead of going back and picking, let's just finish. Do you want to have your private moment and just finish? Let's just finish the scene and then we can go back and nitpick. What do you think? Cool?
Yes, that works.
So they just left and Falstaff got a whooping and Ford is in his loons again and they're all gone.
Trust me, he beat him most pitifully.
Nay, by the mass, that he did not. He beat him most unpitifully, methought.
I'll have the cudgel hallowed and hung o'er the altar. It hath done meritorious service.
What think you? May we, with the warrant of womanhood and the witness of a good conscience, pursue him with any further revenge?
The spirit of wantonness is sure scared out of him. If the devil have him not in fee simple with fine and recovery, he will never, I think, in the way of waste, attempt us again.
Shall we tell our husbands how we have served him?
Yes, by all means. If it be but to scrape the figures out of your husband's brains, if they can find in their hearts the poor unvirtuous fat knight shall be any further afflicted, we two shall still be the ministers.
I'll warrant they'll have him publicly shamed, and methinks there would be no period to the jest should he not be publicly shamed.
Come to the forge with it, then shape it. I would not have things cool.
Lovely. Lovely. Would you like to go first, Dr. Rappaport?
Sure.
Starting from set down the basket villain.
From line 60, I want to say something.
Oh, all the way back there. Okay.
Not a lot. I don't have a lot, but Mistress Ford.
Yes.
I'm not getting that each of these words is a different thing. You know, it's a list, but we want to see each thing. It's because you're being really thorough about how Ford will search. So
Okay.
you have to see in your mind, what is a press? What is a coffer? What is a chest? What is a trunk? What is a well? What is a vault?
Okay.
And if you want my help with any of those, let me know.
I would like to add to that I don't know, Corinna, if she had the whole list in her mind when she started the sentence.
Okay.
So she's thinking, oh, he's going to ask to hide in all these places. What can I come
Am
up
I
with?
ready with this?
Or this, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that. None of it. Don't.
And it gets more grandiose. So press, coffer, chest, and trunk. Trunk is bigger than a chest.
Yeah.
But also then a well is completely different category, and a vault is a whole separate category.
She's
So
trying
you're
to cover
just
all
going,
bases.
you're going as
Yeah.
far as you can.
Okay.
Okay, line 85. What did I mean? I would my husband would meet him in this shape. Oh, you said this shape. You hit this.
Okay.
And I think you need to go for meet and shape. It's not this shape as opposed to meeting him in some other shape. It's meeting him like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I would expect to hear it, I think.
Okay.
Line 91, Mistress Page. Just you said it fine. Michele, you're just wonderful. You're making these lines come alive. I really love it. Everybody is. But the word sadness, just to be sure, means seriousness and sobriety, not unhappiness.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. I wasn't joking. He is coming.
Yeah. Exactly right.
I have something on 94.
What?
I have something on 94.
Okay, go ahead.
Corinna, you said we'll try for that. Is that something that, was that just a slip, or did last week we say we would say that?
No, that was definitely a slip
Okay, gotcha.
going between paper and.
Yeah. Todd.
Yeah.
First time you did the Ford character, your voice was a bit higher.
Okay.
And I think that's important on this Zoom since you're playing both parts.
Okay.
So Falstaff is big and rotund, and he's got this lower, richer voice, which is your great voice. So I think you have to go a little, I don't mean squeaky, but just make a distinction in the register for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Barry White and Barry Gibb, but.
And then the last one is
That's quick, Paul. Good. Good.
I was trying to get you to spit up whatever you were drinking.
Todd, 136, Syrah. How did you say it? Say it again. Come forth.
Well said, brazen face. Hold it out. Come forth, sirrah.
Okay, so you're saying Syrah the way we say sir.
Yes.
But I want more of an I there, Syrah.
Okay. I mean, I've always been taught it's sirrah. Sir and sirrah.
Okay, then do it that way.
Okay.
While we're doing
I talked to somebody who was alive then and heard them say it out loud. So
You please do not disparage Michael Kahn in that way, Todd.
Okay, that's it, Paul.
Okay. Oakley dokley. Brazen face is a horrible thing to say to your wife, is it not?
Yeah.
Gideon?
Yeah, brazen means brass, made of brass, meaning shameless.
But to say that to your wife in front of other people is horrific. And that should shock
because she's lying right to my face.
Right. So that should shock you, Mrs. Ford, that he went that far. I mean, I think you're enjoying the fact that he is fooled by this, but to call you brazen face in front of his colleagues, that's a horrible thing to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Schmidt has it as impudent. Impudent person.
Yeah, and you know what pudent means? Pudor comes from.
I do not.
Pudor is modesty, sexual modesty.
Oh.
The Venus holding her hands before her genitals is Venus pudor.
Oh.
I don't know what the phrase is in Latin, but so impudent means without.
Is that where we get pudenda?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, when he says brazen face, he's using it as a nickname. So it's not exactly, Paul, I would say it's not exactly like saying in public, I am calling out my wife as a brazen-faced hussy. He is calling her by this nickname because he's afraid she has earned it.
Yeah.
And it is awful, but there's also, it's not like I want a divorce, you brazen-faced hussy.
Yeah.
Because I haven't proven this yet. But I'm really suspicious, and he's seeing what she'll do and say when he says that.
Okay, so it's not as bad as if it were today and he called her a slut. I thought it was that bad. Is it not that bad?
Well, it depends on how you call someone a slut. If you say before a bunch of people, my wife is guilty of betraying me, she's a slut, that's bad. But if you say, oh, good point, slut, it's more personal. It's still nasty. It's very nasty. But it's just got a different quality to it. Anyway, I might be asking for too much from Zoom, but.
No, and Todd can play that. Todd can play that. Todd.
Yeah.
I said, I moved the line, Robert and John empty the basket. And I realized that it might have messed up your rhythm. Because when she said he should die a flea's death, would you prefer the line there so you have a moment to go, well, he's not here I seek for? Is it weird to jump to
I'm sorry, what line are you at?
Well, he's not here I seek for. Do you prefer to pick up the cue there? I mean, to take a beat before you say that? Would you prefer the stage direction right before that line?
Yeah, I do. I think that would be better.
Okay, I'll put it back where it was.
They empty the basket. Well, he's not. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Okay. My husband will come into the chamber. Okay, let's deal with this passage here, Mr. Scofield. She comes of errands, does she? What do you mean by errands? The Oxford says he means on a go-between's business. Is it really that simple?
I think he's saying she comes of errands. Oh, she's just visiting, huh? She's not here telling fortunes. You're trying, she's telling fortunes and she's doing all that devilry and witchcraft in my house, under my roof. She comes of errands, does she? Mm-hmm. Sure. That's what I thought it was.
Good. Now you turn to your boys and you say, we are simple men. We do not know what's brought to pass under the profession of fortune telling. Meaning what?
We don't know all the stuff that goes on with that terrible practice.
Meaning
we just know it's not any good.
Right. It could be something like, we don't know the half of it.
We don't know how bad it can be.
Yeah. And there may be a fairly large dose of fear in his voice. I don't want to say that. Yeah, I do want to say fear. Yeah, fear. He beats her with whatever, a cudgel, a broom, whatever he's got his hands on.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid of her.
Right.
Or am I wrong?
I think you're half right. I mean, you're right, but it can also be we don't understand what goes on with this magic, and we know it's bad and wrong. And also, we don't know what's going on in our house behind our backs. And this just adds to it. Like, I don't know what my wife is doing. I'm suspicious. I'm jealous. And that this spell worker is here. What's she up to?
Yeah.
It's all of that composite.
Yep.
So it's fear, but also anger that she's put you in this position.
She works by charm spells, by the figure. Well, instead of me giving you what I think this line means, you tell me what you think he's saying. The whole thing, all the way to element.
She works by charms, by spells, by the figure, by such daubery as this is beyond our element.
So daubery, I looked up daubery and it says it means pretense, which seems
It means
It's very
originally
simple.
means to cover with clay, but it comes to mean giving a false show, putting on a false show.
right. And what I think he's saying is this whole thing that my wife is doing is a show. And we don't know under all this show, behind the curtain of this show, what the heck this witch is doing here.
Right.
It is beyond our element, beyond our understanding, Gideon.
Yeah, beyond the world we live in. We don't live in that world of witchcraft. It's a legitimate sphere of activity and knowledge, or beyond our feeble understanding meant ironically, as in out of one's element.
Yeah. And I think, Todd, that I don't know that I'm right here, but I think the and such daubery as this is parenthetical. She works by this, by this, by this, by this, and way beyond our understanding. And then parenthetically, he sticks in there, under the guise of this performance that my wife is putting on, this is way beyond what we understand. That's what I think, but I don't know. But it's almost like the word with is missing, and with such daubery as this is. But I could be completely wrong. Or maybe he's talking about the costume. Maybe he's talking about what she's wearing, but he doesn't know it's a costume. So I don't think that's what he's talking about. The daubery.
I think the word by is understood here. It's still by. She works by means of pretense. But the this is the question. Do you mean this as all of these previous things, or do you mean this as this situation that my wife is, that she's showing me my wife is in?
And when you say all these previous things, you mean the things that he has listed?
Yeah, the charms, the spells, the figure. By the way, figure is diagram. So, you know, in the black magicians would make diagrams. You've seen them of stars and other images. They draw it on the ground in chalk and make a circle around it and so on.
I think he's like painting the picture for everybody else that's here, to let them know, to understand why I feel so strongly about this woman who I think is a witch.
And it's very funny that you're so worked up about that.
Yeah, I mean,
we know it's Falstaff, and you're not even thinking about the infidelity anymore. You're thinking about how you don't want this woman anywhere in your house.
You wouldn't believe what this woman does.
Right.
She steals the neighbor's pets and eats them, right? So
so then, Todd, do you agree with me that beyond our element is the sort of summation of that list? Or is
beyond our element, I don't think it's quite a summation. I think it's
or are you
we don't even know what she's up to.
Reinforcing what you said before, that
it's reinforcing it. We don't even know what she's up to. We can't understand it, and therefore it's dangerous.
Okay.
And we know nothing is then got a tinge of sarcasm about it. It's not that we know nothing, but we don't know what she's really up to, and therefore
Yeah.
we don't trust her.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to identify just grammatically is what the phrase beyond our element connects to what?
Charms, spells, figure, daubery are all
Beyond our
beyond
element.
our element.
So
We
you
can't-
don't,
We work with, we're simple men. We work with things, with wool and wood and metal and
so you don't think that and such daubery as this is parenthetical? Because if beyond our element is referring to the things in the list before then, the way it makes sense in my head is if and such daubery as this is sort of like to highlight what I'm about to say about that list I just said.
I don't hear it that way. I think the and shows that it's the fourth element in the series. It's the fourth item in the series. Charms, spells, the figure, and such daubery as this is.
As whatever this
All
is.
of those being beyond our element, we don't know anything about those. And then he speaks to her. Come down, you witch, you hag you. Now that he's got justification for what he's going to call her.
Okay.
That's,
Todd, you agree with that?
that's how I see it. I'm not saying you have to do it that way. That's how I hear
I
it.
do think that last comma is misplaced.
The one
I think
after-
compositor B or whatever may have gotten that one wrong. She works by charms, by spells, by the figure, and such daubery as this is beyond our element. And such daubery as this is beyond our element.
Huh. That's a third way to think of it. Okay. As long as it sounds like it makes sense to you, I'm happy. Cool.
I think there was a smudge of ale or grease on the copy he had, and he just got the comma mixed up.
You're
Poor
imitating all
compositor
of the brazen-faced editors of Shakespeare.
Compositor B gets the blame for everything.
Poor guy. He was much better than C and D.
Okay, let's move on. Come down, you witch, come down, you hag. Mistress Ford. I think this is a great performance by you, a great piece of acting, this next line. Because I believe you want nothing more but to have him strike her. Have him strike Falstaff.
In fact, giving him the idea to do it.
Yes.
Corinna, you're muted.
Hello. Yes, am I planting the seed for him? Thank you. Yeah.
Michele, make sure we hear Pratt, that her name is Mother Pratt. And give me your hand. What's a runyon, Gideon?
Oh, that's a good question.
Can I tell you something that I found fascinating? It's not in the Schmidt. It's not in the lexicon.
The word runyon?
Runyon.
Wow.
There's a word not in it.
I find
Unless
that hard
it's
to
like,
believe.
unless there's maybe it's in the supplement. He does have supplements.
It
the
might have
ends.
been spelled differently too. Ronyon.
Yeah, it might have been.
It's probably from rogne in French, meaning mange or scurf. And scurf gives us the word scurvy, but it's the OED isn't certain what about that. So it's they say an abusive term applied to a woman.
And the Oxford Shakespeare says it's a term of contempt of an obscure origin. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
So do you remember the rump-fed Runyon in where is it? The rump-fed Runyon cries. Is it Romeo and Juliet? I can't remember. I think it's anyway. It's just one more in this list of words he's trying to come up with to insult her.
Yeah.
All right. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Michele, how do you feel about, I think you have killed the poor woman. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Never mind. I withdraw the question. And we already talked about there's a goodly credit for you. Todd's going to say, hang her, witch. Will you follow, gentlemen? I'm going to say they exit. And now you ladies, the wives, can have a very good laugh, an even bigger laugh than after the first time.
Okay.
Corinna, you get the joke with your line, right?
That it was unpitiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I had a question. I feel like Master Ford can be abusive. And so like I was trying to think how much she's like cracking up and how much, yeah, should I just play it like it's really funny to see him beat up someone else? I feel like sometimes there's references not in our scenes, but in other scenes where it sounds like they have a past relationship that can be physically abusive. And so I was trying to figure out what the tone would be. Am I playing to that, or am I just saying, this is hilarious? He beat up that old woman. So funny. And it was Falstaff. Yeah, I guess that was my question there.
Yeah, sadly, that's not an inappropriate question to ask. I wonder how that played back then, Gideon. I wonder if
I think
men hitting their wives was commonplace back then.
yeah,
Right, I think, yeah.
And I think it gives the wrong note to the comedy of the scene.
So it's just hilarious to see him beat on someone else.
Yeah, and I don't think he actually physically beats you, at least not in anything we're looking at. So
Right, not in our scenes, no.
yeah, I think it would complicate things. And also I wanted to say about trust me, you're not trying to convince her to believe you. You've both seen this. So it's like an automatic phrase. It's like, boy, oh boy, did he. Right?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
thing you pick up, the thing that Mistress Ford picks up is pitifully.
Pitifully, yeah.
So Mistress Page is not saying, believe you me, like you have to believe me because you didn't see it. No, she's saying, oh boy, did he beat him pitifully. And then you go, ha, unpitifully. And then she goes further with this hallowed cudgel.
You can have a lot of fun with that, Corinna. It could be,
Yeah.
it could seem like you are trying to literally disagree with her for real.
Right.
Oh, no, you're very wrong. And then land the joke yourself.
Right.
And then Mrs. Page picks it up as Gideon says and takes it further.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Page knows what she's doing. It's not like she's taken in by that first part of the line. They're in cahoots. They're thoroughly in cahoots.
Yes. Okay.
And then, Corinna, you can alter the rhythm a little with, what do you think? Should we do it again?
Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of laughing, basking in the glory of this last endeavor, and then what should we do now? Yeah. Okay.
And I think here's where they slightly divide for a moment. Should we go to a third version of this? And Mistress Page says, no, we don't really need to. unless he's really of the devil's party, I think this has done it.
Yeah.
And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Gideon, I think what Mrs. Ford is saying, under the banners of womanhood and good conscience, should we do this again? Right? Would it be too much? Would it be violating good conscience and a woman's honor to do it again? Is that what she's saying?
Yes, and particularly because she uses the word revenge, and that edges away from justice and toward revenge, which in Shakespeare is always wrong. And that's why Mistress Page is saying, no, we're not going to go as far as, literal revenge. We're just trying to correct him so he doesn't come after us again.
But I also say that if once we tell our husbands, if our husbands want to go forward through it, we're in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And this is what that word that Falstaff says, obsequious, is implying. If the husbands, knowing everything that's happened, if the husbands want to go further and use the wives to trap him more, they will. So that's obedience to the husbands. And she thinks we're probably not going to need to do that. But if they say so, it'll be fun.
And is Mrs. Ford saying, she's not saying, when she says, shall we tell our husbands, she's not saying, what do you think? Should we tell them? She's saying, why don't we go tell them, right?
Yeah,
Because telling them is not
a suggestion. It's like
telling them is not up for debate. We're going to tell them.
Yeah, well, that's part of the cream of the joke, right?
Right.
To get the husbands to realize what they've done. And that also reinforces their virtue. So, but they're on the same page. Shall we tell them? Yeah.
Good. I want to go back a little bit. The spirit of wantonness is short scared out of him. If the devil have him not in fee simple, with fine and recovery. So if the devil, if he doesn't, does that mean if the devil doesn't own him, if he is not beholden to the devil?
Yes, correct.
If
Fee
the
simple.
devil does not have him in fee simple.
Owned
Fee simple means complete, absolute possession.
That, I saw that phrase in another Shakespeare play not that long ago. What the hell? I don't remember what play it was. Fee simple.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff in Hamlet about the lawyers, but I don't think fee simple. I don't remember. We can look it up.
I think it was Hamlet. But with fine and recovery, what does that mean? Like fine, like a legal fine?
I think that means without recourse was the way I read it. Like
So if he has no
finito.
recourse against the devil, if the
Right.
devil has him without recourse,
Yes.
if that's not the case, he won't ever attempt this again.
Right.
But what does in the way of waste mean?
It's another legal term, and it's an unauthorized act of damage or destruction by a tenant who does not have full legal ownership, and so correctly applied to Falstaff's relations with the merry wives. In other words, he is
And it's not about his relationship with the devil?
no, this is now about his relationship to them. He will never, in the way of waste, meaning in the way of harming us without authorization, trying to sleep with us, and as we know, get our money without the right to do so because we're not married to him. So he's not going to try to seduce us again.
The only way he would do that is if the devil had him in his clutches,
Completely.
which we know he does not.
Right.
Okay. It's a very complicated sentence, but it's beautiful.
It's it's basically disjunctive proposition. If this, if not this, then this.
Yeah.
If the devil doesn't own him, he won't do it again.
So Mrs. Page says, if our husbands want to have him be further afflicted, we too will still be the ministers. Like, we will come up with a plan. I warrant they'll have him publicly shamed. And there would be this joke. He needs to be publicly shamed for this to have a period, for this joke to come to an end.
So yeah.
And Michele, you get the last line to the forge with it, then shape it.
Right, yeah. In other words, we've got to basically strike while the iron is hot.
Got to make the sword.
Yeah. Let's shape the plan now. I don't want to have things cool off when you can't shape
And also, the sword has to be carved and shaped and sharpened before the metal gets cool.
Right.
Or else you won't be able to do it.
And the plan is what the husbands are going to do. They've already done what they've done. So come to the forge with it means let's go tell our husbands and then shape what's going to happen. And I'll warrant, Mistress Ford at line 220, I'll warrant means I assure you, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which ties back into, Corinna, it ties back into, you asked her, should we do it to him again? And she said, no, he's had enough. He's learned his lesson. It still ties back. And then Michele said, but if our husbands wants to do it again, sure. And then so this ties into, and I guarantee you they will want to do it again. They want to put him, they want to shame him in public next time.
And then plus we will not feel that our whole endeavor has been completed unless he's publicly shamed. Right? Our goal is not just to have got where we are. He's got to be publicly shamed. And of course, then he is later on.
Let's just do that last bit again from Are You Not Ashamed? Everybody with me?
Give us the line. Oh, there it is, line 187.
Yeah. So you got a couple of lines, Todd.
Yeah.
Are you not ashamed? I think you've killed the poor woman.
Nay, he will do it. 'Tis goodly credit for you.
Hang her, witch. Will you follow, gentlemen?
Trust me, he beat him most pitifully.
Nay, by the mass, that he did not. He beat him most unpitifully, methought.
I'll have the cudgel hallowed and hung o'er the altar. It hath done meritorious service.
What think you? May we, with the warrant of womanhood and the witness of good conscience, pursue him with any further revenge?
The spirit of wantonness is sure scared out of him. If the devil have him not in fee simple with fine and recovery, he will never, I think, in the way of waste, attempt us again.
Shall we tell our husbands how we have served him?
Yes, by all means, if it be but to scrape the figures out of your husband's brains. If they can find in their hearts the poor unvirtuous fat knight shall be any further afflicted, we too will still be the ministers.
I warrant they'll have him publicly shamed, and methinks there would be no period to the jest should he not be publicly shamed.
Come to the forge with it, then shape it. I would not have things cool.
Nice. Lovely. Oh my gosh, that was so good. So good. As my friend Gideon always says, it's so good when you know exactly what you're saying.
I got a couple things to say.
Yes, sir.
190, Mistress Ford, don't hit the pronoun you. give us the full sarcasm on, oh, good show. That
Okay.
this shows you in a great light. Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. Line 213, similarly, Mistress Page, don't hit the attempt us again. It's not, we know he's attempting you to.
Uh-huh.
I would go for attempt.
Yes, okay.
That the rest of that line was great, by the way, perfect.
Yes.
But then
Lovely.
you just landed on the pronoun in a way that distracted us. Line 216, just to point out, if it be but to scrape the figures out of your husband's brain, that's the same word that her husband has, or Mr. Ford used about the witch.
Mhm.
So false diagrams, false images
Mhm.
of your betrayal, which isn't true. And then the last thing was still 219, Mistress Page, we too will still be the ministers. Still has the sense of not continuing to be, but always, like whatever gets done to him, we will be the ones
Uh-huh.
ministering it. So it just, in Shakespeare, still almost always means always.
Ah, got it.
That's it. Good work. I agree.
Mistress Page, when she says, shall we tell our husbands? Your yes, I don't think means, oh, that's a good idea. There was always the plan. What she's saying is now the time to go tell them. So I think you're saying, yes, I agree with you. Let's go tell them. Okay, I want to try something if we have time. It's 9:20. This is primarily for the wives. We can just try it or we can talk through it first. I would like to go from when, sorry, let me just find my spot. It's when Mrs. Page first comes in 4:2. I would love to try to see if it can work. That Mistress Page actually saw Ford out on the road coming with his friends and talking about a basket. And Mistress Page has come in and said, oh my gosh, please don't tell me he's here because your husband is actually coming. And Mistress Ford thinks, wow, your acting skills have really picked up. This is wonderful. Good job. And so you're saying, oh my God, is he here? And she's saying, no, he's not. I don't know what your line is. And she goes, speak louder. I love your acting, but let's hear it. And Mistress Page the whole time is going, no, this is for real. Your husband's coming. And Mrs. Ford is thinking, man, you're a great actor. And Mrs. Ford is acting, and Mrs. Page is not acting.
Uh-huh. Okay.
There are certain lines that will destroy this convention. But I'd love to try it and see where we come in, we slam into walls.
Wow.
There are certain lines that support this idea, and there are certain lines that deflate it.
You just have to decide when she shifts. It's a shift. So you have to decide when she doesn't, when she is surprised at what Mistress Page is saying, and when she now wants to say things louder so Falstaff will hear it as a plot. So you can't have it both ways. So you're going to have you're going to have a place where you have to decide where the shift comes.
Well, I was wondering if the whole time Mistress Page is saying, she's not saying it, unfortunately, but Mistress Page is really reporting what she saw.
Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And
So
then,
that would change the line. Truly, I am so glad you have nobody here. I'm not doing that for Shakespeare's benefit. I mean, for Falstaff's benefit. I'm doing it for. Oh gosh, thank God you didn't get it here. Because
so thank God he didn't come for the second trick, because your husband is coming.
Right.
And then when Falstaff disappears to go put on the gown, and she says to you, but is my husband coming? You go, yes, for real, he's coming.
Okay.
But there are, like I said, we're going to come across certain lines that make you go, wait a minute, that can't work. I don't know, but I'd just love to try it.
Sure.
Okay, so most of this, I just think she's acting, and I'm
Really well. Her acting is picked up.
she's doing really, yeah, and I'm just playing along. Okay,
So
I think she's doing really.
go from how now, sweetheart. So you're already gone, Sir John.
Okay.
How now, sweetheart? Who's at home besides yourself?
Why, none but mine own people.
Oh, indeed.
Sorry, I think I froze for a second.
Yeah, you did. Go again. How now, sweetheart?
How now, sweetheart? Who's at home besides yourself?
Why, none but my own people.
Indeed.
No, certainly. Speak louder.
Truly, I am glad you have nobody here.
Why?
Why, woman, your husband is in his old loons again. He so takes on yonder with my husband, so rails against all married mankind, so curses all Eve's daughters of whatever complexion soe'er, and so buffets himself on the forehead, crying, peer out, that any madness I ever yet beheld seemed but tameness, civility, and patience to this distemper he is in now. Oh, I am glad the fat knight is not here.
Why? Does he talk of him?
Of none but him. And swears he was carried out the last time he searched for him in a basket. Protest to my husband he is now here, and hath drawn him and the rest of their company from their sport to make another experiment of his suspicion. Oh, but I am glad the knight is not here. Now he shall see his own foolery.
How near is he, Mistress Page?
Hard by at street end. He will be here anon.
I am undone. The knight is here.
Why then, you are utterly shamed, and he's but a dead man. Oh, what a woman are you! Away with him, away with him! Better shame than murder.
Which way should he go? How should I bestow him? Shall I put him into the basket again?
No, I'll come no more in the basket. May I not go out ere he come?
Last three of Master Ford's brothers watch the door with pistols, that none shall issue out. Otherwise you might slip away ere he came. But what make you here?
What shall I do? I'll creep up into the chimney.
There they always use to discharge their birding pieces.
Creep into the kill hole.
Where is it?
Ye will seek there onward. Coffer just pieces and goes to them by his note. There is no hiding you in the house.
I'll go out then.
If you go out in your own semblance, you die, Sir John. Unless you go out disguised.
How might we disguise him?
Alas, the day I know not. There is no woman's gown big enough for him. Otherwise he might put on a hat, a muffler, and a kerchief, and so escape.
Good hearts, devise something, any extremity rather than a mischief.
My maid's aunt, the fat woman of Brentford, has a gown above.
On my word, it will serve him. She's as big as he is. And there's her thrummed hat and her muffler too. Run up, Sir John.
Go, go, sweet Sir John. Mistress Page and I will look some linen for your head.
We'll come dress you straight. Put on the gown the while.
I would my husband would meet him in this shape. He cannot abide the old woman of Brentford. He swears she's a witch, forbade her my house, and hath threatened to beat her.
Heaven guide him to thy husband's cudgel, and the devil guide his cudgel afterwards.
But is my husband coming?
Aye, In good sadness is he, and talks of the basket too. Howsoever he hath had intelligence.
We'll try that. For I'll appoint my men to carry the basket again to meet him at the door with it, as they did last time.
Nay, but he'll be here presently. Let's go dress him like the Witch of Brentford.
I'll first direct my men what they shall do with the basket. Go up. I'll bring linen for him straight.
Hang him, dishonest varlet. We cannot misuse him enough. We'll leave a proof by that which we will do. Wives may be merry, and yet honest too. We do not act that often jest and laugh. 'Tis old but true. Still swine eats all the draught.
Okay. That was very well. What a very thorough and quick adjustment. Thank you, Michele. Thank you, Corinna. Your thoughts, Gideon, watching that. Could that work?
I think
I wrote
they
down some lines that get in the way, but what do you think?
I think they acted it beautifully, and I think it doesn't work. And
Tell me why.
the reason is because they've plotted this second trick, and it takes away the humor of the double entendres that Mistress Ford is saying, because she's reinforcing everything she says is to make Falstaff in the other room petrified.
Yeah.
And if it's about Page knowing what Ford doesn't yet know, it changes the drama from that, from disjunction between the wives, from the disjunction with Falstaff to disjunction between the wives. I think they did it beautifully, and I think it would read, but I think it's a shallower kind of humor. That's my impression.
I kind of agree with Gideon. It was really fun to play it that way, but I think there's so much more where things are just designed to scare Falstaff out of his wits, and I think it's kind of funny, it is a bit funny when all of a sudden she kind of says, "Oh, is he really coming? Oh, that's right. Yes, he is." But because we've been playing this scene so well, oh my God, yes, there really is real danger. But we've been having so much fun scaring the bejesus out of Falstaff.
Yeah, in other words, it comes on top of the intentional fooling Falstaff rather than as a complete revelation.
Right.
Do you have thoughts, Todd?
No, I mean, it doesn't really affect what I'm doing. It didn't really feel like, so whatever you guys think, yeah.
But I meant as an audience member, do you have thoughts?
Oh, no, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about it as an audience member. I'm sorry. I was just, I mean, I think it could work either way. So, but,
see, I think logically we would have to make too many changes to make it work. But I think it's funnier when she is being real and we still achieve the goal, the wives still achieve the goal of scaring the bejesus out of Falstaff because he's hearing her
right,
saying for real, "Oh my gosh, here he comes."
So you're locating the drama in Mistress Ford's discovery rather than in the audience's pleasure at the two levels of hearing what she's saying, hers and Falstaff's.
Yes. If I were to direct it and do it that way, yes. Because we've already seen them go, "Oh, my husband's coming. Oh no, what are we gonna do?" We've already seen that one. And if this one is, "Oh my God, your husband's coming, your husband's coming. Oh, yeah, what are we gonna do? No, he's really coming. Oh, it's so terrible." That, I think, is a different version of the foolery.
mm-hmm.
And I think it adds a layer of comedy, but you know what? We would never know until we actually saw it. We would never know. And then we'd have to make so many adjustments because aren't I right, Gideon? Don't they actually say to the audience, well, not to the audience, but in the audience heard them plot this whole thing about the maid's gown
Yeah.
before he got there.
Oh, I don't remember that. Is that true?
I was looking for it. I can't find it, but I have a feeling that they
I
said
don't
it.
think so. I don't think so.
I don't think it's on stage that they say that.
Yeah. I think
it's
it's
implied that they-
news. I think it's news in this scene.
Okay. So we wouldn't have to change that if we
No.
were going to do it. I'm not saying we're going to do it, by the way. I'm saying like if we were doing a staged production and we were going to do it that way, we wouldn't have to worry about, well, wait a minute, how would Mrs. Page know about that plot? Because the audience never heard that plot.
But then you have to think about what is Falstaff hearing when that happens. So if one of them is bringing news to the other one that's real, what is Falstaff hearing? And how much, why isn't he? I think it just alters the joke of what they're doing for his sake.
And the first scene that we did, the 3-3, at the end of that, we both agree, oh, we're going to do this again. We're going to get him to come back again, and we're going to up the ante. And this is, I think, how that works out. So I think it is something that we plan to do. I mean, not necessarily with the dress and stuff like that, possibly, but definitely the idea of having him come back again and gulling him again was part of and humiliating him was part of the plan.
And part of the fun of that is that these two women are in cahoots, like they understand each other.
Yes, that's right. We definitely came up with this plan together.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I did like about just the dynamic was, Mistress Page seems so sincere and so real, and so Mistress Ford is just like, because they're performing for Falstaff, but they're also performing for each other because they're, so she's like, oh, let's do it, so I liked that dynamic in it, but you could
do that anyway, in the sense that
still play that anyway.
You can play it anyway because Mistress Ford's an even better actress than, Mistress Page is an even better actress than Mistress Ford. So you can be inspired by how. And I think it's possible that there could be a note of uncertainty in the audience. Mm-hmm. While they are fooling Falstaff, we might be saying, wait, is he really coming or not? And then we are confirmed when she says, no, truly, he's coming. So that may be for the audience's sake rather than for Mistress Ford's sake.
And please understand, by the way, that all this pushback I'm doing, I'm not advocating that we do it that way. I just really want to
explore.
Discuss.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that what Gideon just said is funnier when the audience is thinking, oh, shoot, he's really coming. And Mistress Ford thinks that she's acting. But he's really coming. Because, by the way, as an audience member, we just saw Ford say, come with me. I'm going to go to my house and catch him. So we know he's coming as the audience member. And here's Mrs. Page saying, oh my God, he's coming. And Mrs. Ford thinks that she's acting. And we know that Falstaff is actually there hiding. I think that whole thing is funnier. But again, it would be we'd have to make so many adjustments to make it work. There's certain lines like, let me find my notes. The line, why, what a woman are you? That doesn't make sense if Mrs. Page is not acting. To me, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right, Michele? What would that mean?
Right. I would not acting. Yeah, yeah, I agree. That has to be, I wouldn't be, shaming her for something that we set up.
Right.
If you were not acting and she goes, he is here, and you go, oh my God, he is here. I don't see that you would say, why, what a woman are you?
Yeah.
And anyway, she wouldn't say, oh my God, he is here. in that way because
Right.
she wants Falstaff to be caught.
That's another good point. She does want him to be caught. That's the other part of it that makes it not work, is
Yeah.
that she wouldn't walk in and go, oh my God, I hope he's not here because your husband's coming to kill him. She would be going, I hope he's here because your husband's coming to kill him.
Because that scares him more, and that'll
And
keep
that's
him.
exactly what we want.
Yeah. Can I give 3 notes on what I heard this time?
Yes.
Mistress Page, line 23. You keep saying of Eve's daughters of whatsoever complexion soever, or whatever complexion soever. It's of what complexion soever.
Soever. Curses all Eve's daughters of what complexion soever.
That's it. Line 99 is Mistress Ford.
Mhm.
Can you give me the longer vowel on isle instead of all?
I'll. Okay.
I'll first direct my men. It's just that it'll read better for the audience.
Okay.
And then 107. Oh, it's 106 actually. We do not act, Mistress Page, we do not act that often just and laugh. I didn't get the meaning of that from the way you said it this time.
Okay.
What does it mean?
It means that we may joke about, having fun and maybe cheating, but we really wouldn't do anything that would impugn our honesty.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just and laugh about cheating either. It's about anything.
Okay.
Just in general,
Just the fact that we're lighthearted as opposed to serious and modest.
doesn't mean that we're light morally.
Yeah.
So we do not act immorally, even though we tell jokes and have fun.
Yes.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
I think you have to bring out the contrast, the antithesis between act and jest and laugh.
Yeah.
Those people who jest and laugh don't necessarily act badly, understood badly.
Uh-huh.
Yes? Good. That's it.
Cool. By the way, just to finish up this thing, the other 2 lines that would be troublesome if we were going to do it that way, the other one is 3 of Mr. Ford's brothers watched the door with pistols. We in the audience know that that's not true, and she wouldn't say it if she wasn't acting. And the other one is when Falstaff comes out, she says to him, "What make you here?" She
Right.
wouldn't say that if she wasn't
Yes.
acting.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can go early tonight, but just to shake that one out of our brains, let's just do it again the old way. Do we want to do all of 4-2, or do we just want to do from? Yeah, why don't we just do all of 4-2? It's not that long. What do you think?
Sounds good.
And I won't stop you. Oh, and I'm gonna. I am going to say, Mistress Ford, just so you know, after "'Tis old but true, still swine eats all the draft," I'm going to say that stage direction. Mistress Ford enters with Robert and John, who bring the basket.
Okay.
And Mr. Ford, I'm going to say that you enter with your entourage or your friends. I'll find a nice way to say it. Cool. Here we go. And then we'll go home. We are home.
Mistress Ford, your sorrow hath eaten up my sufferance. I see you are obsequious in your love, and I profess requital to a hair's breadth. Not only, Mistress Ford, in the simple office of love, but in all the accoutrement, compliment, and ceremony of it. But are you sure of your husband now?
He's a birding, sweet Sir John.
What ho, Gossip Ford, what ho?
Step into the chamber, Sir John.
No, sweetheart. Who's at home besides yourself?
Why, none but mine own people.
Indeed.
No, certainly. Speak louder.
Truly, I am so glad you have nobody here.
Why?
Why, woman, your husband is in his old loons again. He so takes on yonder with my husband, so rails against all married mankind, so curses all Eve's daughters of what complexion soever, and so buffets himself on the forehead, crying, peer out, that any madness I ever yet beheld seemed but tameness, civility, and patience to this his distemper he is in now. I am glad the fat knight is not here.
Why? Does he talk of him?
Of none but him, and swears he was carried out the last time he searched for him in a basket. Protests to my husband he is now here, and hath drawn him and the rest of their company from their sport to make another experiment of his suspicion. But I am glad the knight is not here. Now he shall see his own foolery.
How near is he, Mistress Page?
Hard by, at street end. He will be here anon.
I am undone! The knight is here!
Why then, you are utterly shamed, and he's but a dead man. Oh, what a woman are you! Away with him, away with him! Better shame than murder.
Which way should he go? How should I bestow him? Shall I put him into the basket again?
No, I'll come no more in the basket. May not I go out ere he come?
Alas, 3 of Master Ford's brothers watch the door with pistols, that none shall issue out. Otherwise you might slip away ere he came. But what make you here?
What shall I do? I'll creep up into the chimney.
They always used to discharge their birding pieces.
Creep into the kill hole.
Where is it?
He will seek there, on my word. Neither press, coffer, chest, trunk, well, vaults, but he hath an abstract for the remembrance of such places, and goes to them by his note. There is no hiding you in the house.
I'll go out then.
If you go out in your own semblance, you die, Sir John. Unless you go out disguised.
How might we disguise him?
Alas, the day I know not. There is no woman's gown big enough for him. Otherwise he might put on a hat, a muffler, and a kerchief, and so escape.
Good hearts, devise something, any extremity rather than a mischief.
My maid's aunt, the fat woman of Brentford, has a gown above.
On my word, it will serve him. She's as big as he is. And there's her thrummed hat and her muffler too. Run up, Sir John.
Go, sweet Sir John. Mistress Page and I will look some linen for your head.
Quick. We'll come dress you straight. Put on the gown the while.
I would my husband would meet him in this shape. I cannot abide the old woman of Brentford. Sorry. I would my husband would meet him in this shape. He cannot abide the old woman of Brentford. He swears she's a witch, forbade her my house, and hath threatened to beat her.
Heaven guide him to thy husband's cudgel, and the devil guide his cudgel afterwards.
But is my husband coming?
Aye, in good sadness is he, and talks of the basket too. Howsoever he hath had intelligence.
We'll try that, for I'll appoint my men to carry the basket again, to meet him at the door with it as they did last time.
Nay, but he'll be here presently. Let's go dress him like the witch of Brentford.
I'll first direct my men what they shall do with the basket. Go up, I'll bring linen for him straight.
Hang him, dishonest varlet. We cannot misuse him enough. We'll leave a proof by that which we will do. Wives may be merry, and yet honest too. We do not act that often jest and laugh. 'Tis old but true. Still swine eats all the draught.
Mrs. Ford enters with Robert and John and the buck basket.
Go, sirs, take the basket again on your shoulders. Your master is hard at door. If he bids you set it down, obey him. Quickly, dispatch.
Pray heaven it be not full of night again. Enter Ford and his entourage.
Set down the basket, villain. Come hither, Mistress Ford. Mistress Ford, the honest woman, the modest wife, the virtuous creature that hath the jealous fool to her husband. I suspect without cause, mistress, do I?
Heaven be my witness, you do, if you suspect me in any dishonesty.
Well said, brazen face. Hold it out. Come forth, sirrah.
Are you not ashamed? Let the clothes alone.
I shall find you anon. Empty the basket, I say.
Why, man, why?
As I am a man, there was one conveyed out of my house yesterday in this basket. Why may not he be there again? In my house, I am sure he is. My intelligence is true. My jealousy is reasonable. Pluck me out all the linen.
If you find a man there, he shall die a flea's death.
Robert and John empty the basket.
Well, he's not here I seek for.
Robert and John refill the basket and carry it off.
What ho, Mistress Page? Come you and the old woman down. My husband will come into the chamber.
Old woman? What old woman's that?
Why, it is my maid's aunt of Brentford.
A witch, a queen, an old cousin queen. Have I not forbid her my house? She comes of errands, does she? We are simple men. We do not know what's brought to pass under the profession of fortune telling. She works by charms, by spells, by the figure. And such daubery as this is beyond our element. We know nothing. Come down, you witch, you hag, you. Come down, I say.
Nay, good sweet husband. Good gentleman, let him not strike the old woman.
Come, Mother Pratt. Come, give me your hand.
I'll rat her. Get out of my door, you witch, you rag, you baggage, you polecat, you runion. Out, out, I'll conjure you. I'll fortune tell you. Ah.
Falstaff exits.
Are you not ashamed? I think you have killed the old woman.
Nay, he will do it. 'Tis goodly credit for you.
Hang her, witch. Will you follow, gentlemen?
Ford and his entourage exits.
He beat him most pitifully.
Nay, by the mass, that he did not. He beat him most unpitifully, methought.
I'll have the cudgel hallowed and hung o'er the altar. It hath done meritorious service.
What think you? May we, with warrant of womanhood and the witness of good conscience, pursue him with any further revenge?
The spirit of wantonness is sure scared out of him. If the devil have him not in fee simple with fine and recovery, he will never, I think, in the way of waste, attempt us again.
Shall we tell our husbands how we have served him?
Yes, by all means, if it be but to scrape the figures out of your husband's brains. If they can find in their hearts the poor unvirtuous fat knight shall be any further afflicted, we too will still be the ministers.
I warrant they'll have him publicly shamed, and methinks that there would be no period to the jest should he not be publicly shamed.
Come, to the forge with it, then shape it. I would not have things cool.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Wonderful.
You got anything, Gideon?
Yes, I have 5 notes.
Good.
Line 32, Mistress Page. I think it's protests rather than protests.
Line 32. Hold on, let me find it.
Protests to my husband, he is now here.
Protest. Okay, protest to my husband, he is now here.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it sounds better and works
Yes.
better. To the
It's
ear.
that old verb noun
Verb noun
rule.
thing.
Right.
Protest
Yeah.
is a noun, protest is a verb.
Yes.
Got it.
Line 80, Mistress Ford. I don't know if it was the freezing of your image or something else, but several times you pause after she says, "Run up, Sir John." It takes forever for us to hear you say, "Go, go, sweet Sir John." And I don't know
I do
why. So I'm
today.
just calling your attention to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
it's freezing occasionally, so that might have been it.
I think it was partly freezing, but it's happened a couple times when it didn't freeze. So, okay, line 105. That was beautiful. Wives may be merry and yet honest too. We do not act it often. Oh, you got it. You nailed it. Line 134. Mistress Ford. I wouldn't hit the me. I would hit suspect and dishonesty.
Got it. Yep.
More interesting. Because all along we've been talking about you, so that's not. It's not okay for him to suspect other people. That's not an issue.
Right. Right.
And then the last one, 185. Ford. So you're not literally saying, "I'm going to engage in magic."
Right.
It's, "Oh, you're a conjurer? I'm going to conjure you. Oh, you're a fortune teller? I'll fortune tell you." Right? It's that
Yeah.
type of tone. So I heard it in the second one, but I didn't hear it in the first one.
Okay.
That was
That's
going to be
it.
one of mine. That was going to be one of mine, that you can violate the pronoun rule for those lines.
Yeah.
And the other quickly, Todd, before you say "we are simple men," do you mind if we just add the word "gentlemen" so it's clear you're talking to your friends?
We are gentlemen. We are simple men.
Yeah. How you feel? It's not clear on Zoom. It's really hard to make it clear that you're not talking to her.
Okay. How about gentlemen? We are simple, or we are simple folk. I just don't like the gentlemen. We are simple men.
I don't like it either. Come up with a better word. My friends.
Gentlemen, my friends, we are simple. No, we do want it to be them and not the women. Gentlemen, we are simple folk.
You're not.
Think of it for next week. We'll come
You're
up with
upper
something
middle
next week.
class.
We're running out of time, so we'll come up with
Right, but I still say it. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut the men. We are simple men. I like that. But let's
okay.
figure out a way to
I mean, I can put it in there.
we'll figure something out. Finally, this is primarily for Michele, but I want Gideon's input and everybody's input. Let us make a decision if we're saying kill hole or kiln hole. I have to tell you, I don't have a preference. I think they both work.
I don't
I've
have
been-
preference.
I've
Gideon,
been
you have
saying
no
kill
preference?
hole.
Yeah.
I've been trying to say kill hole without
Okay.
the N.
And that's your preference? You prefer kill hole?
That's it's fine for me.
Gideon, you have a preference?
No, either way is fine.
I think either one works. They mean different things, but it works.
Well, one's a single meaning, one's a double meaning.
Right. And the fact that he says, "Where is it?" so quickly makes it funny. Whichever
Yes.
one. Yeah. Because he can't fit into either one. He doesn't even know what a kill hole is, and he's saying, "Where is it?" That's hilarious.
Good.
You guys are awesome. I cannot
You
wait
are.
for
You're
next week.
really, really good. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you. This is so fun. I'm learning so much in the conversations.
I could do this. If I could get paid to do this for 12 hours a day, I would. just to talk about Shakespeare and what the hell we're saying and what does it mean. I love it.
Mhm.
Jules, do we have to stop?
I know. I feel I have this like thing now when I appear. I'm like, I feel guilty because I feel like I'm infringing on this amazing experience. Like I regret coming in here now. But it's an
Well,
amazing,
I will
it's
absolve
amazing
you.
to hear you guys. It's amazing to hear just the exploration of the text and thinking about these words that, would fall to the wayside otherwise.
And it's so much better, as Gideon has said several times. It is so much easier to perform
Yes.
when you know exactly the minute detail of every word and every punctuation mark, and I knew exactly what you're saying.
Bravo.
Beautifully said. With that, thank you, everyone. And next week is our final week. Very exciting. It's amazing how September has flown by. Looking forward to it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the rehearsal room, and we will see you all next week for the final performance. But again, just a reminder, this is always a work in progress. So this is the rehearsal room, and we're constantly exploring. Thanks, guys.
So much.
Thanks, Jules. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
So much fun.
Next week.